Hello everyone, welcome to this video series on research methods. This is a series of lectures on how to do a research and the parts involved in a research. So the intention of this lecture series is to guide you and provide you with knowledge to conducting a research successfully. So this first video is an introduction to research, mainly to tell you what a research is and the things you need to know before you begin a research. Let's start with question, what is a research? So to understand that, let's focus on some of the day-to-day experiences, the things we get to hear daily, like for example, the COVID virus. Right? COVID-19 was a virus that we got to know in 2019, late 2019, or else early 2020, right? So this is the virus particle illustrated using animations. Why is this related to research? Right. So back in 2020, we didn't have a solution to this. But after a couple of years, we developed a vaccine to provide us immunity to prevent us from catching the virus. And we found certain medication to treat the patients who are infected with the virus. So those things were introduced after some time, thanks to research. So we had a problem and we wanted to find a solution to that. Right? So when there's a problem and the solution is unknown, or else if we don't have a solution yet, what we usually do is we do a research to find a solution. Right? So that's the simple idea behind a research. But it doesn't have to be a problem always. It can sometimes be an observation. Sometimes it's not a problem. You see something that cannot be explained. Like for example, Sir Isaac Newton saw an apple falling from a tree and coming towards Earth. So he was wondering about what he saw. And then he came up with this idea of gravitation. And then he could explain why the apple fell from the tree. Right? So to explain that observation, he had to do some research. It may have not been a research done in a laboratory. It may have been a mere thought experiment, but still it's a research. And he could explain it. He could explain the unexplainable. Right? So an observation can also lead to a research. And sometimes it's not a problem. It's not an observation. Sometimes it's a novel idea. Something that pops up in your mind out of nowhere. Like for example, Albert Einstein. He was thinking about Newton's theories on gravitation, and he found certain issues. He had his own issues with gravitation, the theory of gravitation, and he was trying to explain it. And that's how we came up with relativity, the theory of relativity. Right? It was just an idea. Right? I'm not going to go into details of those, but there can be ideas which will lead you to a research. Right? So problems, observations, ideas can be turned into a research, and you will find something new at the end of a research. This is very important. Every research should have a finding which is new to us. Or in other words, we should find new knowledge through a research. It's not just about finding a solution. It's not just about explaining something. You have to find new knowledge. Otherwise, you can't call it a research. It will be just a study. Right? So there should be new knowledge unraveled through a research. So before you begin your research, keep in mind that whatever you do at the end of your study, you should come up with something new and you should be introducing it to your scientific world. It can be medicine, it can be engineering, it can be applied sciences, whatever it is, there should be new knowledge coming out of your research. Right? Okay, let's move on. So to define the term research, you can say the creation of new knowledge and or the use of existing knowledge in a new and creative way so as to generate new concepts, methodologies, and understandings. Right? So we create new knowledge or use the existing knowledge in a new and a creative way. Through that, we are again generating new concepts, new methodologies, and new understandings. So always the word or the term new is there. If you are not doing anything new, then it's not a research. And for undergraduates, for the students who are doing a research as a part of their degree, diploma, or any other sort of a higher educational qualification program, the research is offered as a module. So in general, all these modules will have one learning outcome, one general or a common learning outcome, which is to conduct a research and to learn the essential stages involved in a research project. So this series is mainly focused on engineering students. That's why the term engineering is there, but it doesn't mean that this learning outcome cannot be applied to any other field, right? So in any discipline, if you are doing a research for the first time as a part of your bachelor's degree, you are supposed to not just do the research, but to learn the stages of a research. Because after this point, if you are doing a master's degree, if you are doing a research as a part of your master's, or if you are doing a PhD, or if you are doing a postdoctoral research, in all those, there won't be anyone to teach you how to do a research. You will have to do the research on your own, maybe with a supervisor, but no one is going to teach you how to do a research. So at the undergraduate level, you will have a supervisor and there will be other academic staff members teaching you how to do a research, right? So the learning outcome of a research at the bachelor's level is to learn how to do a research. So to start off, the very first thing we need is a student or a research scholar, right? And with the student, we must have a supervisor. The supervisor is the one who guides the student, who gives feedback to the student. And sometimes supervisor is the one who proposes the research topic. So the relationship between the student and the supervisor is really important. One thing is it will ensure the successful completion of the study, and it will benefit the student in his or her academic career. And for the supervisor, he or she might be doing a lot of research work. So completing his or her academic goals can be accomplished through a research done with a student. So a lot of benefits are there for both the parties. So let's see what sort of role a student should be playing. So as a bachelor's student doing a research, the very first expectation is the student should take matters into his or her own hands without waiting for the supervisor to tell what needs to be done. Right? So the student is in the driving seat. The supervisor is there just to supervise, or else just to give the guidance. Right? The supervisor will not be telling the student what to do, or how to do, or when to do. Right? So the student is supposed to be self-driven, should be taking decisions. And as the second bullet point says, the students should understand the responsibilities and expectations and work accordingly. Right? And the student is supposed to work systematically according to a timeline to achieve the objectives of the research and meet the deadlines, because in a degree program there'll be deadlines, there'll be submissions, there'll be evaluations. So the research has to be completed, and also the degree related requirements should also be completed. Therefore, to fulfill these requirements, the student has to have a plan and work according to a plan to meet the milestones. Unlike any other module, unlike any other subject, this is an open-ended module where we can't define the scope, where we can't define what the student has to do. Therefore, it will require a lot of self-learning, decision-making, and problem solving. So the student should be prepared to face all these. And the student should take the lead. And while you are doing all that, you have to keep your supervisor updated. You should maintain a close relationship with your supervisor, and you should have regular meetings with the supervisor to keep him or her updated on your progress. And you should show the progress to get the feedback from the supervisor to know whether what you did was correct or not. Sometimes you might get comments from the supervisor on possible improvements. And this is not related to the research, but you should realize that supervisor, who is also an academic staff member of your university, or maybe someone from the industry, they also have other commitments. Therefore, you need to be flexible with their schedules, with their timings. So you should be able to professionally handle your matters, your meetings, your engagements with the supervisor. So these are the expectations of the supervisor from the student. And from the supervisor, should play a role to support the student. So always the supervisor should assist or guide the student, and it can start with identifying a research topic, and throughout the course of the research until the student submits his or her thesis and do maybe a final presentation, the supervisor should be there providing assistance, guidance, or supervision, whatever you call it. And also, as I said at the beginning, the supervisor is supposed to explain the responsibilities and expectations to the student. Right? The expectations of the research, the expectations of the supervisor, and what sort of responsibilities lie in the hands of the student. Everything has to be clearly communicated to the student. And continuous guidance, continuous progress monitoring, and continuous feedback should be given to the student, so that the student will improve and the research will progress, and you will end up with a satisfactory output at the end. And you should also make sure that the student is finishing the research on time. You means the supervisor, I'm sorry. The supervisor should always make sure that the student is finishing his or her work on time with satisfactory results to gain marks. So at the undergraduate level, it is not just about finishing the research, but it is also about the student passing the module with good grades. So the supervisor has the responsibility of ensuring that. And the supervisor can always be a mentor to the student and can provide emotional support as well if it is required. So student supervisor relationship is very important to the success of the research and for the academic expectations of both the parties. So we got to know about the two elements that are required to start a research. And once these two elements are complete, we can add the third element, which is the research topic or the research area or the research problem, right? So we need these three elements to start a research, to start our study, right? So this can vary. Sometimes at certain universities, in the final year, the supervisor proposes a topic. The student has to pick the topic, or else sometimes the students can propose topics and the supervisor will fine-tune it and finalize it. But this will change at the master's level. This will change at the doctoral level because no one is proposing a topic. You will start with a problem that you see maybe in day-to-day life, or maybe in a certain phenomenon, right? So you might be wondering why that is, or you might want to find a solution to that. So you begin with a research problem actually. So at the postgraduate level, you begin with a research problem and then you develop that into a topic. In the case of a bachelor's research, this is somewhat different, not at all times. Right? You start with a topic because you want to teach the student the flow of a research. Therefore, you start with a topic. You begin with the topic and then you develop the research problem. Then you develop the aim and objectives of the research and so on. Right? So let's take another example. So this was taken from the WHO website, published in 2019 in December. Pneumonia of unknown cause reported to WHO China office, right? So this was an unknown disease reported to the WHO office, right? So see, it's a problem, right? A problem that has the potential to be developed into a research, right? So we begin with that. If you are a master's student, if you are a doctoral student, if you are just a research scientist, this is a good point to start your research. And if you are the head of a research team, you can consider developing a research topic like a minor topic to be given to the undergraduates in your institute, in your facility. Right? So this is a good starting point to a research. Right? And I'm not going to explain the phenomenon, but this is a phenomenon that could not be explained using Newton's laws or theorems on gravity. So this is the base that helped Einstein develop his ideas, his theorems. So the phenomenon which could not be explained led to the development of a research interest, right? And third one was just a common problem, right? Before air conditioning was invented, the indoor thermal comfort of buildings wasn't that favorable to human beings, especially during summer. It gets really hot inside, and during winter, again, it gets really cold inside. And in some countries, the humidity is very high. So the indoor air condition is not very comfortable to human beings. So scientists tried to find a solution to this. Then they invented air conditioning. Controlling and maintaining a certain condition in the air by changing the temperature and humidity was the solution. So using electricity and the concepts in physics, they developed an air conditioner. And now we have air conditioning inside buildings. We can stay for hours without feeling any discomfort. Right? So that's how we develop a research, or else that's how we find a point to develop a research interest, a research area, a research idea, a research problem. Right? So we develop our research with that. We start developing our research with that. Right? So if you don't have a topic, then you can start with a research question. So usually, research question is the starting point. You have a problem, you have a question, you have something unexplainable, and you use that to start your research. You start developing a research idea using a research question. We will discuss more about these in the coming videos. But just for now, understand, you need a research question to start a research, and based on the research question, you can develop a research topic. If you don't have a research topic with you, even if you have a research topic given to you by a supervisor, the very first thing you need to do is you need to develop the research question. What sort of a problem am I addressing? If you don't know the problem, you can't find the solution. You need to know the exact problem that you are trying to address through your research. Right? That's why I've said it is the initial step in a research project. And developing the question can lead to a topic if you don't have a topic already. And even if you still have a topic, as I said, you need to still develop the research question. And something for the undergraduate, something for the people who are doing a research for the very first time. The topic can always change. Like other modules, things are not constant. I told you things can change. The scope is not defined. Right? The module is open-ended. So the topic can change during the course of the study. Right? So I will tell you how the topic can change, or what will change the topic in the coming videos. Just understand that the topic can change during the course of the study. Even towards the end of the research, still there might be instances where you need to change the topic, where you are obliged to change the topic. Right? So the finalization of the topic cannot be done at the very beginning. You can start with one topic, but the exact topic of the research will have to be finalized towards the end of the study. Right? So at the undergraduate level, every topic will have a supervisor because the students are doing a research for the very first time. Therefore, you need help from an external party to do the research, to complete the research in a satisfactory manner. Right? So undergraduates will have a supervisor, and most probably they'll be given a topic so that they can start the research right away. Right? So when you get the topic, when you receive a topic from a supervisor, best thing is to go through the topic, try to understand it on your own, and before you begin any work, talk to the supervisor and understand the topic. And at the same time, ask what the expectations are and have a proper understanding before you begin your work. If you don't know your expectations, if you don't know what you need to do, if you don't understand the topic, you will be going on a wrong track. If you want to reach your destination, you should go on the correct path. And finally, to end the video, just to kill the curiosity, I will show you the flow of a research. I have broken it down to 9 steps. Again, this is aimed at undergraduates. So you will begin with selecting a topic, and in our next video, we will discuss about understanding the background, understanding the problem, setting objectives, and then we will discuss about the literature review, how to do a literature review, and how to identify the knowledge gap, how to define the scope, how to identify the limitations. And next, we will discuss about developing a research methodology and conducting the research work. And finally, how to get the results, how to interpret the results, and the discussion on the results. And to end the research, we will draw conclusions and provide recommendations. Right? So this is common to research done at all the levels, whether you are an undergraduate, a master's student, a PhD candidate, or a doctoral research fellow, whether you are a research scientist, whether you are working as a group, whatever you do, you will have to go through all these steps. Right? Okay, so that concludes our first video on research methods. Hope you understood it, and see you in the next video. Thank you.